My beloved child, pause tonight, because the prayer you stopped praying was not forgotten. The one you buried beneath disappointment, the one you tucked away because it hurt too much to keep hoping, the one you no longer mentioned because your heart learned to flinch when it remembered it. That prayer is moving again. This night is not ordinary. This moment is not empty. There is a stirring in the place where you thought nothing remained, and I am touching what you thought had gone silent forever. You prayed it with faith once. You prayed it with tears. You prayed it with trembling hands and a hopeful heart. You brought it before me again and again, believing that maybe this time the door would open, maybe this time the call would come, maybe this time the healing would manifest, maybe this time the person would return, maybe this time the promise would show signs of life. And when nothing seemed to change, you did not stop loving me, but you stopped asking, not because you became faithless, my child, but because the silence felt too heavy to carry. I saw that moment. I saw when your voice grew quieter. I saw when your prayers became shorter. I saw when you began to say, "Your will be done," while hiding the ache of what you still wanted me to do. I saw when you stopped bringing that name, that dream, that need, that desire, that restoration, that impossible thing before me, not because it no longer mattered, but because it mattered so deeply that you did not know how to keep touching the wound. But hear me tonight. Your silence did not erase your prayer. Your exhaustion did not cancel your request. Your disappointment did not disqualify your desire. I heard it when you whispered it. I heard it when you wept it. I heard it when you stopped speaking it. Even after your lips could no longer form the words, your heart was still speaking before me, and I, your Jesus, understood every sound your mouth never made. Heaven did not misplace what you surrendered in pain. I preserved it. I held it where bitterness could not poison it, where delay could not destroy it, where fear could not rewrite it, and where the hands of the enemy could not steal it. What your heart could no longer carry, my hands carried. What you buried because you thought it was over, I covered because I knew it was appointed. What you called the end was not the end. It was hiddenness. It was protection. It was preservation. And tonight, beloved, something once buried under disappointment is stirring again. Not loudly at first, not with chaos, not with pressure, but with the quiet authority of my hand moving over a sealed promise. The prayer you thought had become dust is not dust in my presence. It is seed. It has been held in the soil of my timing, watered by tears you thought were wasted, guarded through seasons you did not understand, and now I am breathing over it again. If this message is touching a prayer you almost gave up on, pause even now and let your heart agree with me. Like this video as an act of remembrance. Subscribe for more God-centered encouragement and write in the comments, "Lord, restore the prayer I buried." Let your confession meet the movement of heaven. Let your agreement rise where your silence once settled. Let your hands open again, even if they tremble. Because the prayer you stopped praying is not returning as an old wound. It is returning as a preserved promise. It is not coming back to torment you with what did not happen. It is coming back under my authority, wrapped in healing, covered in peace, and marked by my appointed time. My child, what you released in sorrow, I am bringing back in purpose. What you could not carry, I carried, and what I carried, I did not forget. My child, I did not only hear the prayers you spoke when your voice was strong. I did not only hear the prayers you prayed with perfect words, clear sentences, lifted hands, and confident faith. I heard the broken prayers too. I heard the ones that never became language. I heard the sigh that left your chest when you were too tired to explain. I heard the silence that sat beside you when your heart was overwhelmed. I heard the tear that slipped down your face after you told everyone you were fine. You thought prayer had to sound like strength for heaven to receive it, but I heard you before you had words. I heard the ache beneath the sentence. I heard the fear behind the smile. I heard the hope you tried to bury because hoping had started to hurt. And I want you to understand this tonight, beloved. Your quietness was not rebellion. Your silence was not faithlessness. You did not stop praying because you stopped loving me. You stopped because the weight of waiting pressed against a tender place, and hope began to feel heavy in your hands. I saw you trying to be grateful while still carrying that unanswered cry. I saw you worship while a question trembled underneath your praise. I saw you encourage others while wondering if I had passed you by. I saw you say, "I trust you," while secretly wondering how much longer your heart could keep trusting without seeing movement. And I did not condemn you for that. I came near. I leaned close. I listened beyond what your lips could manage. I heard you in the room. I heard you in the car. I heard you on the nights no one called. I heard you when you smiled and still felt empty. I heard you when you sat at the edge of the bed and could not even begin. I heard you in the shower where tears could fall without being noticed. I heard you at the table when your body was present but your heart was somewhere far away, still standing beside an old prayer, still wondering whether it mattered to me. And yes, I remember what it was about. I remember the family you asked me to heal. I remember the marriage you placed before me with trembling hope. I remember the child you prayed over, the door you asked me to open, the calling you were afraid to believe was truly yours. I remember the restoration, the forgiveness, the purpose, the peace, the healing in your body, the healing in your mind, the healing in a relationship that still makes your heart tender when you think of it. You may not name it anymore, but I know its name. You may have stopped bringing it up, but I never stopped holding it. I am the keeper of prayers people forget. I am the keeper of prayers people abandon because shame tells them they ask too much. I am the keeper of prayers people feel unworthy to ask again. When you laid it down because you could not bear another disappointment, I did not let it fall into nothingness. I gathered it into my presence. I placed it where time could not corrupt it and where discouragement could not rewrite its meaning. Heaven does not misplace sincere cries. Heaven does not discard what was born in faith, even if it passed through tears. What is holy may be delayed, but it is never thrown away. What is appointed may be hidden, but it is never lost. What came from a surrendered heart may go silent on the earth for a season, but it continues to speak before me. So hear me gently, my beloved child. The delay was not denial. The pause was not rejection. The unanswered space was not proof that I had forgotten you. I was protecting the answer from arriving in the wrong season. Before your heart was ready, before the people connected to it were positioned, before the door could open without crushing you. What you called silence had purpose. What you called absence had my hand inside it. And soon you will understand that I remembered everything, even when you no longer had the strength to name it. What you called silence, my child, was not emptiness. It was preservation. It was not me turning away from you. It was not heaven closing its ear. It was not a cold space where your prayer disappeared and your hope was left alone. The silence had my hand inside it. The stillness had my wisdom beneath it. The waiting had walls around it, not to keep the answer from you forever, but to keep the answer holy until the moment it could arrive without being broken, stolen, twisted, or received through fear. You thought nothing was happening because nothing was visible. You thought I was inactive because the door did not move. You thought I had said no because the answer did not come when your heart was aching for relief. But beloved, there are movements in my kingdom that do not announce themselves at first. There are preparations that happen beneath the soil. There are answers that must be guarded in hiddenness before they can be released into your hands. What you called delay was design. What you called silence was strategy. What you called unanswered was not rejected. It was reserved. It was not buried to die. It was planted to return with life. I was not ignoring the request. I was aligning the people connected to it. I was aligning timing, conditions, hearts, doors, resources, conversations, permissions, and unseen circumstances that you could not have managed, even if I had explained them to you. I was moving in rooms you never entered. I was touching decisions before they reached your ears. I was softening one heart while strengthening yours. I was closing one road while preparing another road that would not drain you the way the first one would have. I was not absent in the pause. I was precise in the pause. There were times you begged me to open something, but I knew what stood behind that door. There were times you asked me to hurry, but I saw the weight of what you were asking for, and I loved you too much to let it arrive before your soul had room to breathe under it. Some answers would have blessed one part of your life and wounded another if they had come too soon. Some relationships would have returned with the same cycle still attached. Some opportunities would have opened with hidden bondage inside them. Some promotions would have lifted your name while exhausting your peace. Some restorations would have looked like fulfillment, but they would have pulled you back into a place I was healing you from. So I waited, not because I was uncertain, but because I was protecting you. I held back what you thought you were ready for because I was forming the character that could carry it. I paused the arrival because I was healing the heart that would receive it. I slowed the path because I was purifying the environment around the promise. My child, I do not give sacred things into unsafe conditions. I do not send a tender answer into a place where it will be crushed by immaturity, fear, pride, confusion, or old pain. I preserve what I intend to fulfill. Those closed doors were not always rejection. Some of them were shields. Those confusing detours were not always punishment. Some of them were rescue. Those painful pauses were not always proof that you missed me. Some of them were my mercy, standing between you and a premature exposure of something too precious to be handled too soon. You cried when the door stayed shut, but I saw what would have happened if it opened then. You grieved when the path turned, but I saw what was waiting on the road you wanted. You wondered why I let the silence stretch so long, but I was covering the promise from hands that could not honor it and from seasons that could not sustain it. There is a scroll in my presence, beloved, and your story has not been written carelessly. I am not flipping pages without thought. I am the author who knows the chapter before you enter it, the sentence before you speak it, the ending before your heart can imagine it. There were pages I held back because the chapter was not ready. There were keys I kept hidden because the door was not yet cleansed. There were seals I did not break because the timing had not yet ripened. But a sealed scroll is not a forgotten scroll. A hidden key is not a useless key. A page held back by my hand is not a page removed from your story. I know the ache of waiting made you question the meaning of the promise. I know silence can feel like abandonment when your heart is tired. I know the enemy whispered that if I cared, I would have answered faster. But hear me with tenderness and authority tonight. Speed is not always love. Immediate release is not always mercy. There are times my love protects by delaying. There are times my wisdom blesses by withholding. There are times my hand says, "Not yet," because my heart is saying, "I have more to prepare than you can see." And while you were sitting in what felt like nothing, I was doing detailed work. While you were wondering whether the prayer still mattered, I was guarding its shape. While you were learning to breathe without the answer, I was removing what would have poisoned it. While you were letting go of control, I was weaving alignment. While you were grieving the silence, I was building the conditions for peace. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was idle. Nothing was empty. The silence was full of my movements, full of my protection, full of my hidden mercy. So do not call that season dead. Do not call that pause meaningless. Do not call that delay proof that I forgot. I was preserving what your heart could no longer protect. I was holding the answer until the appointed chapter. I was keeping the promise beneath my hand until it could rise with life, not with pain alone. And now, my child, you are going to see that while you thought nothing was happening, I was quietly weaving every thread that would make the answer return whole. While you were letting go, my child, I was weaving the answer. While you were waiting, I was arranging. While you were grieving, I was healing. While you were releasing, I was preparing. While you were learning how to live with open hands instead of clenched fists, I was placing every thread where it belonged. You thought the prayer was slipping away from you, but it was passing from your exhausted grip into my sovereign care. You thought surrender meant loss, but in my kingdom, surrender often becomes the doorway where preservation begins. I was working behind the veil, in details you could not track. I was in conversations you never heard. I was in delays that frustrated you. I was in redirections that confused you. I was in removals that hurt you, but would have harmed you more if I had allowed them to stay. I was protecting certain encounters until your heart was steadier. I was postponing certain meetings until the motives around them were purified. I was slowing certain outcomes until peace could stand beside them. My hand was not absent from the hidden places. My hand was arranging what your eyes were not assigned to see. You could not see me touching one person's memory. You could not see me changing one decision. You could not see me closing the mouth that would have misled you, opening the door that would later sustain you, removing the influence that would have tangled the answer in confusion. You could not see the timing being measured. You could not see the weight being balanced. You could not see the atmosphere being cleansed. But I saw it all, and I moved with precision. Not one delay was random. Not one redirection was wasted. Not one quiet season was empty of my intentional design. And I saw you in the hiddenness too. I saw the nights you almost gave up. I saw the moments when you sat in silence and wondered if faith was still alive in you. I saw you worship while confusion stood beside you. I saw you lift your hands when your heart still carried questions. I saw you keep showing up when there was no evidence, no confirmation, no visible sign that anything was changing. Beloved, do not call that small. Heaven did not call it small. Faithfulness without applause carries a fragrance before me. Trust without evidence is not weakness. It is costly worship. There were days you did not feel strong, but you stayed. There were days you did not understand, but you refused to let bitterness become your home. There were days you had every reason to close your heart, but some tender part of you still turned toward me. I saw that. I honored that. I used even that. The hidden season was not only forming the answer, it was forming you. It was teaching your soul how to receive without panic, how to wait without resentment, how to hope without making an idol of the outcome, how to trust me even when the promise was covered. Hiddenness did not make you invisible, my child. Hiddenness made you ready. It stripped away the fear that would have mishandled the blessing. It loosened the need to control what only I could complete. It softened places in you that disappointment had made guarded. It strengthened places in you that delay had tested. You are not the same person who first prayed that prayer. You are deeper now. You are steadier now. You are humbler now. You are not merely waiting for an answer. You are becoming someone who can steward the answer. What you once begged to receive, I am preparing you to carry with maturity. What once would have overwhelmed you, you will now hold with peace. What once might have become pressure, you will now steward as assignment. The prayer is not returning to the old version of you. It is returning to the one I have been forming in secret. It is returning with clarity, not confusion. It is returning with maturity, not desperation. It is returning with peace, not panic. It is returning with divine weight, not emotional chaos. This is why I did not rush. I was not only preparing the door, I was preparing the heart that would walk through it. I was not only arranging the provision, I was expanding the vessel that would hold it. I was not only preserving the promise, I was healing the person who would receive it. Because I will not allow the answer to crush what it came to bless. I will not send fulfillment in a way that destroys your peace. I will not restore a prayer and leave you ruled by the same wound that made you afraid to hope again. So breathe, beloved. Let your shoulders lower. Let your heart stop accusing the hidden season. There was work happening in the dark. There was mercy moving under the soil. There were threads crossing, doors aligning, hearts shifting, and angels guarding the timing of what belongs to you by my authority. You were not abandoned in preparation. You were covered in preparation. You were not overlooked in the process. You were being refined for the promise. And now, my child, the hidden preparation is beginning to lean toward visible movement. Tonight marks a shift. The threads I have woven in secret are beginning to tighten into form. The prayer I protected beneath my hand is beginning to rise with life. What was prepared in silence will not remain silent forever. What was formed behind the veil is moving toward the place where you can see my faithfulness with your own eyes. Keep your hands open. Keep your heart soft. The answer was not only being made ready for you, you were being made ready for the answer. My child, hear me tonight. The movement is not far away. The page is turning now. The prayer is rising again tonight. What was preserved beneath my hand is beginning to press toward the surface. Not because you forced it, not because you finally understood every part of the waiting, not because circumstances suddenly became easy, but because the marked time has come for what I protected in hiddenness to begin moving into sight. Tonight is a threshold. It is not just another night folded into all the other nights you survived. It is not another quiet hour where heaven is distant and your heart is left to guess what I am doing. There is a line being crossed in the spirit. There is a page being turned by my hand. There is a sealed place opening, and what I kept from the reach of fear, delay, and disappointment is now responding to my command. The prayer is not dead. The prayer is not lost. The prayer is not stranded in yesterday. It is rising under my authority. Do not call this luck. Do not call this coincidence. Do not call this emotional imagination because your heart is tired and wants to believe again. This is not random timing. This is not a fragile feeling passing through the night. This is a targeted return. This is a divine appointment. This is heaven's decision beginning to press into earthly circumstances. What I ruled in the unseen is now beginning to touch what you can see, what you can hear, what you can recognize, what you can walk into with peace. I have already spoken over what concerns you. I have already measured the timing. I have already guarded the pathway. I have already assigned movement to what looked motionless. And tonight, beloved, the atmosphere around you is beginning to change. The heaviness that sat on your chest is lifting. The fog that made you afraid to hope is thinning. The memory of the prayer is awakening, but it is not awakening to torment you. It is awakening because I am breathing peace over it. Expectancy is returning, but not with pressure. Hope is rising, but not with panic. Something in you is beginning to remember without breaking. That is my hand, that is my nearness. That is the kindness of my spirit touching the place you once avoided because it hurt too much. I am not dragging you back into old grief. I am not opening a wound just to make you feel what you survived. I am bringing holy light to the place where you buried the prayer, and I am saying, look again, my child, but look with me. Do not look through fear. Do not look through shame. Do not look through the old ache that told you nothing would ever change. Look through my presence. Look through my promise. Look through the peace I am placing around your heart tonight. Pause with me now and identify it. Not with panic, not with striving, not with desperate hands trying to pull the answer out of the ground before it's time. Identify it with reverence. Identify it with honesty. Let your heart whisper the name of the prayer you stopped speaking. Let the memory come gently. Was it healing? Was it restoration? Was it provision? Was it a calling? Was it reconciliation? Was it a home, a family, a door, a child, a future, a peace you thought you would never feel again? Bring it before me again, not as someone begging from a place of fear, but as my beloved child standing in the presence of the one who never forgot. I know the prayer. I know where you left it. I know the day your hope grew quiet. I know the moment you decided it was safer not to ask anymore, and I am not ashamed of your silence. I am not disappointed by your tiredness. I am here now, touching what you could not carry, and I am telling you that the preserved thing is moving. It is moving through channels you cannot see. It is moving through hearts I am softening. It is moving through doors I am unlocking. It is moving through circumstances I am aligning with precision. It is moving because I have commanded it to move. If you believe I am restoring holy hope in you tonight, write this declaration with faith. The prayer God preserved is returning to me tonight. Let your words come into agreement with my movement. Let your confession rise where fear used to sit. Let your comment become an altar of remembrance, not for attention, not for performance, but as a witness that your heart is opening again to what my hand has preserved. And as you say it, do not imagine the prayer returning the same way it left. Do not imagine it carrying the same anxiety, the same ache, the same confusion, the same desperate weight. I am not resurrecting old panic. I am not restoring the thing with the pain still ruling it. I am not bringing back the prayer to return you to the version of yourself that was breaking under the burden. I am releasing a purified answer. I am releasing what has passed through my timing, my protection, my wisdom, and my healing hand. The answer will carry peace. The movement will carry confirmation. The return will carry my fingerprints. You will know it is me, because it will not demand that you abandon your peace to receive it. You will know it is me, because it will not pull you back into the bondage I delivered you from. You will know it is me, because even if it comes suddenly, it will come with a settled weight, gentle but undeniable, quiet but powerful, holy but near. So stand at this threshold with open hands. The page is turning now. The prayer is rising again tonight. What was preserved in silence is beginning to move toward manifestation, and what I protected in hiddenness will not return as a wound. It will return under my authority, wrapped in healing, marked by peace, and prepared for the heart I have made ready to receive it. My child, when I bring it back, I will not bring it back with the same pain attached. I will not let the answer arrive, wearing the voice of the disappointment that once surrounded it. I will not allow fulfillment to reopen the wound without also releasing the healing. What I restore under my hand. What I return through my peace. What I resurrect, I do not leave, wrapped in grave clothes. You remember how it felt when you first prayed it. You remember the trembling hope, the open expectation, the innocence that believed easily before delay taught your heart how to brace for impact. You remember the version of you who asked with lifted eyes and did not yet know how deeply waiting could test the soul. And some part of you misses that person. Some part of you grieves the tenderness you think you lost. Some part of you wonders if hope can ever feel clean again, without fear standing beside it, without the memory of disappointment, whispering, "Be careful, do not believe too much." But hear me tonight, beloved. I am not only restoring the prayer, I am restoring you. I am restoring innocence without removing wisdom. I am restoring tenderness without making you naive. I am restoring expectation without returning you to blindness. You will not be the same person you were before the waiting, but you will not be a hardened version of yourself either. I am giving you a heart that is wiser and still soft, tested and still trusting, matured and still able to receive joy without suspicion. The answer is returning with peace, not pressure, with clarity, not confusion, with healing, not panic, with my hand on it, not your striving around it. It will not demand the old desperation from you. It will not ask you to beg your way into what I have already appointed. It will not require you to abandon rest in order to prove you want it badly enough. My child, you have already carried the weight of longing. You have already walked through the ache of not knowing. You have already cried the tears that only I could interpret. Now, I am teaching you how to receive without trembling under the old fear. Your tears were not wasted. Every night you cried became evidence in the testimony I am forming. Every quiet sob, every whispered why, every moment when your chest felt too heavy to breathe, I gathered it. I did not let one tear fall without witness. I did not let one aching hour disappear into nothing. What you thought was weakness became part of the weight of the miracle. What you thought was proof that you were falling apart became proof that you kept bringing your broken heart into my presence, even when you did not have language for faith. So do not be ashamed that it hurt. Do not be ashamed that waiting changed you. Do not be ashamed that the prayer became difficult to hold. I know the cost of hope deferred. I know the ache of a soul that keeps looking for morning while the night feels long. But I also know how to touch the place where disappointment settled. I know how to remove fear from a memory. I know how to lift shame from a desire. I know how to return joy to the exact place where grief once sat. Do not resist renewed hope simply because disappointment once hurt you. Do not push away my comfort because your heart is trying to protect itself. Do not confuse numbness with wisdom. Do not confuse guardedness with discernment. I am not asking you to fling your heart open to everything. I am asking you to open your heart to me. Let me stand at the doorway of that old prayer. Let me place my peace over it. Let me remove the sting from its name. Let me show you that what once made you ache can now become a place where you recognize my faithfulness. This time, you will not receive from panic. You will not steward from fear. You will not interpret the movement through shame. You will not hold the answer like someone afraid it will disappear if you breathe wrong. I am settling you before I deliver it fully. I am calming the waters inside you before I place the promise upon them. I am healing the receiver so the gift does not become another burden. And now, my beloved child, understand what is happening beyond what you can see. Heaven has not only remembered the prayer, heaven has not only preserved it, heaven has assigned movement around its fulfillment. There is protection gathering around what I am bringing back. There is authority surrounding the path of its return. There are messengers from my presence moving at my command, because what I release in this hour will not be left exposed to confusion, delay, or theft. The prayer is returning healed, and its fulfillment is being escorted by my hand. My child, you do not have to drag this fulfillment into place. You do not have to force what I have already commanded. You do not have to chase what I have assigned to find you. There is a holy order moving around the prayer you thought was buried, and I am the one giving the instructions. My angels have been dispatched around what is timely, what is sacred, and what carries your name. They are not wandering. They are not uncertain. They are moving under my authority, carrying keys for doors that must open, scrolls for assignments that must be activated, confirmations for hearts that need courage, and protection for the fulfillment that must arrive without being contaminated by fear. What I send, I guard. What I release, I cover. What I appoint, I escort. The answer is not coming exposed to sabotage. It is not coming uncovered before envy. It is not coming loose into confusion, chaos, manipulation, or spiritual interference. I have placed authority around the path of its arrival. I have stationed messengers where your eyes cannot see them. I have sealed certain details until the proper moment. I have blocked voices that would have twisted what I am doing. I have restrained hands that would have mishandled what belongs to you. I have surrounded the movement with my command, because this fulfillment is not fragile when it is in my hand. Beloved, there are things happening now that may seem small, but they are not small in the spirit. A sudden call may carry more than information. An unexpected conversation may open a door you stopped looking for. A dream may bring confirmation to a place your mind had tried to bury. An invitation may arrive from a direction you did not plan. A reconciliation may begin with a softness you did not expect. A quiet peace may settle over your heart before anything outward has changed. And that peace will be a sign that I am already moving ahead of you. Do not despise the gentle beginnings. Do not ignore the quiet signals. Not every movement will come with noise. Some of my strongest confirmations arrive wrapped in stillness. But hear me clearly, my child. Discernment is not striving. Watching is not worrying. Remaining open is not forcing. I am not asking you to run ahead because you sense movement. I am not asking you to call every person, knock on every door, explain yourself to every doubter, or make fear-based decisions just because your heart feels the nearness of change. Stay close to me. Keep your hands open. Let me lead the timing. Let me order the steps. Let me decide which door opens first and which door remains closed because it is still protecting you. You will not need to manipulate the outcome to prove you believe. You will not need to beg people to remember you. You will not need to pressure a connection, chase a response, or exhaust your spirit trying to make heaven's assignment happen by earthly anxiety. My kingdom does not require panic to complete what my mouth has spoken. My angels do not need your fear to help them move. My timing does not need your control to become accurate. The fulfillment is being escorted by my authority, not powered by your striving. So breathe, beloved. Let the weight come off your shoulders. Let your soul remember that I know how to deliver what I preserved. I know how to place the right thought in the right heart at the right hour. I know how to align one conversation with one decision, and one decision with one open door. I know how to bring back what looked too far gone. I know how to protect a tender answer until it reaches the hands I have prepared to hold it. And when it begins to arrive, receive it with humility, receive it with peace, receive it with reverence. This is not only a blessing for your comfort, it is a sacred thing to carry wisely. What you once begged for, you are now being trusted with. What you once cried over, you are now being prepared to steward. The angels are escorting the fulfillment, but I am also watching the heart that will receive it. Keep your hands open, my child. Keep your spirit soft. Keep your eyes on me. The answer is moving, and I am teaching you how to carry it when it comes. And now, beloved, understand why I have been teaching your hands to open without shaking. The answer is not returning as a trophy for your pain. It is not coming so you can prove who doubted you, who misread you, who walked away, or who failed to see what I was doing in you. What I am bringing back is sacred. What I preserved is holy. What I am placing into your life now must be carried by a formed heart, not by an anxious wound still trying to defend itself. This is why I waited. This is why I shaped you. This is why I allowed the hidden season to do a deep work beneath the surface, where no one could applaud it and no one could interrupt it. You are being trusted with what you once begged for. Hear that slowly, my child. You are being trusted. The prayer you cried over, the future you whispered about, the restoration you could barely name without tears, the door you thought had closed forever, the healing you stopped asking for because it felt too tender. I did not forget it. I preserved it until your heart could hold it differently. You once asked from desperation, but now you are learning to receive from peace. You once reached for the promise because you feared you could not live without it, but now you know my presence is your life. That is maturity. That is formation. That is the quiet strength I worked into you while the answer was hidden. The waiting purified your motives. It removed the need to be seen by people before you could feel seen by me. It loosened the hunger for validation that would have turned the blessing into an idol. It strengthened your discernment so you would not call every open door mine and every delay rejection. It softened pride in places you did not know pride was hiding. It taught you compassion for others who are still waiting. It taught you to listen before moving, to pray before reacting, to pause before assuming, to stay low before me even when elevation begins. The delay was not only about time, it was about trust. You are not the forgotten one. You are the prepared one. You are not overlooked. You are being trusted. You are not standing at the edge of restoration as someone barely tolerated by heaven. You are standing as my beloved child, refined in the silence, strengthened in the unseen, steadied through the long night, and brought to this moment by my hand. Do not wear the identity of abandonment into the place of fulfillment. Do not carry yesterday's rejection into tomorrow's assignment. Do not let the old ache name you when I have already called you, chosen, covered, and ready. What returns may carry more than comfort. It may carry responsibility. It may ask for obedience. It may require forgiveness where your flesh would rather stay guarded. It may bring reconciliation that needs wisdom, boundaries, patience, and truth. It may open visibility that requires humility instead of performance. It may place service in your hands, influence in your voice, resources under your care, or relationships that must be handled with reverence. It may require a new level of faith, not because I am making the blessing heavy, but because every sacred thing must be stewarded with clean hands and a surrendered heart. Do not be afraid of the responsibility attached to what I restore. I am not giving you something holy and then leaving you alone to manage it. I am not placing you in a room your spirit has not been prepared to enter. I am not opening a door only to watch you collapse under the weight of walking through it. I trained you in private for what will unfold in public. I taught you endurance when no one knew the cost. I taught you surrender when you wanted control. I taught you rest when striving felt safer. I taught you to value my presence above the promise, because only the one who loves me more than the answer can steward the answer without being ruled by it. So when the door opens, do not shrink. When the call comes, do not sabotage it with old fear. When peace confirms the movement, do not argue with it, because disappointment taught you to expect loss. When I place you before people who once did not see you, do not over-explain your worth. When I restore what looked impossible, do not apologize for being remembered by heaven. Walk gently, but walk. Speak humbly, but speak. Receive quietly, but receive fully. You do not need to make yourself smaller to make others comfortable with what my hand is doing in your life. Do not assume the blessing will vanish because former things did. Do not hold it so tightly that fear becomes your master again. Do not test it every hour to see if it is still real. Do not search for signs of failure in what I have marked with peace. Let your confidence be quiet. Let your gratitude be deep. Let your obedience be immediate. Let your heart remain teachable. The answer will not require the old version of you to resurrect. The new season needs the formed you, the humbled you, the steadier you, the one who knows how to say, Lord, this is yours, even while it rests in my hands. And I, your Jesus, will keep teaching you how to carry what I return. I will show you when to speak and when to be silent. I will show you when to move and when to wait. I will show you what to protect, what to release, what to nurture, and what to refuse. You are not being handed a fragile dream without guidance. You are being entrusted with a preserved answer under my authority, and my wisdom will walk with you step by step. Now lift your eyes from the grave of what you thought was gone. It is time to speak over the buried prayer with faith instead of grief. It is time to stop calling it dead when my hand is already moving over it. It is time to agree with restoration, not with fear. The prayer was preserved. The heart was prepared. The moment has been marked. And now, my child, the buried prayer is rising under my hand. The buried prayer is rising under my hand, and I declare over you now that the ground of old disappointment is losing its hold. What you placed beneath silence because it hurt too deeply to keep carrying, I am touching with resurrection power. What you covered with acceptance because you thought acceptance meant surrendering the promise forever, I am uncovering with mercy. What you stopped mentioning because the ache became too loud, I am calling by name in the secret place. The prayer is rising. The delay is breaking. The closed page is opening. The preserved promise is moving toward the surface because my appointed time has spoken. Hear me, my child. I am not punishing you for the season when you stopped praying. I am not standing over your exhaustion with accusation. I am not measuring the days when your voice went quiet as failure. I saw the weight you were under. I saw the hope that became heavy in your hands. I saw how many times you tried to believe again and felt your heart tremble. I saw when words became too costly, when tears became the only language left, when silence was not rebellion, but survival. And I, your Jesus, did not turn away from you there. I covered you there. I held you there. I interpreted the silence you could not explain. So I speak now over abandoned hope. Rise under my hand. I speak over emotional numbness. Feel my warmth again. I speak over family wounds that made you afraid to ask for restoration. Be touched by mercy. I speak over delayed answers that seemed buried beneath years of waiting. move at my command. I speak over divine appointments that could not arrive until the heart was ready, the path was cleared, and the timing was sealed. Come into alignment. I speak over your capacity to believe again. Be restored without fear. Be awakened without pressure. Be renewed without shame. Where there was silence, let there be movement. Where there was heaviness, let there be peace. Where there was delay, let there be divine release. Where there was confusion, let there be clarity. Where there was fear, let there be holy confidence. Where there was grief, let there be comfort deep enough to breathe again. Where there was numbness, let tenderness return. Where there was a closed door, let my key turn in its appointed hour. Where there was a buried prayer, let resurrection begin beneath the soil of your waiting. Do not call yourself faithless because you became tired. Do not call yourself weak because you could not keep speaking the same request through the same pain. Do not let shame sit where my mercy is standing. You did not lose my love when you lost your words. You did not lose my attention when your hope grew quiet. You did not cancel my promise because your heart needed rest. My covenant was not depending on the strength of your voice. My remembrance was not threatened by your exhaustion. I remembered when you could not. I carried what you could not. I guarded what you thought you had released. And now, holy expectation is returning. It will begin gently at first. You will sense something shifting before you can explain it. You will remember the prayer, but the memory will not wound you the same way. You will notice small confirmations, quiet alignments, softened places, unexpected peace. You will dream again, not from fantasy, but from my breath moving over what had gone still. You will pray again, not with panic, but with trust. You will believe again, not because every detail is visible, but because my presence will become stronger than the old fear that trained you to doubt. The answer that returns will carry my fingerprints. It will not come wrapped in confusion. It will not demand that you abandon discernment. It will not reopen old wounds and leave you bleeding without comfort. It will confirm my faithfulness. It will carry the fragrance of my peace. It will bear the weight of my timing. It will make your spirit bow in recognition and whisper, "This is the Lord," not because it satisfies every human expectation in one moment, but because it arrives with the authority, tenderness, and clarity that only my hand can place upon a restored thing. I declare that the old ache will not be the ruler of the new arrival. I declare that disappointment will not interpret what I am doing now. I declare that fear will not stand at the doorway and decide what you are allowed to receive. I declare that your heart will not mistake protection for rejection anymore. I declare that your spirit will know the difference between striving and obedience, between panic and discernment, between an old wound speaking and my peace leading. The buried prayer is rising, but it is rising under my hand, and what rises under my hand is covered, guided, purified, and marked for purpose. So, agree with me now, beloved, not loudly, if you have no strength for loudness, not perfectly if your words still tremble. Agree with me in the quiet place, where trust begins again. Let your heart say yes to restoration. Let your spirit say yes to movement. Let your hands open over the very thing you once buried. You do not have to dig it up in anxiety. You do not have to force it into form. You only have to stop agreeing with the lie that it is gone forever when I am telling you that holy movement has begun. Breathe, my child. Breathe and receive. Let your shoulders lower. Let the old pressure loosen. Bring the unnamed prayer back before me now. Bring the one you avoided. Bring the one you thought was too late. Bring the one connected to tears, family, healing, provision, purpose, love, peace, and the future you were afraid to imagine. Place it before me without fear. I am not asking you to carry it alone. I am asking you to trust me with it again. The buried prayer is rising under my hand, and now your heart is ready to pray. Lord, restore the prayer I could no longer carry. Lord, restore the prayer I could no longer carry. Touch the exact place in my heart where hope became painful. Touch the place where waiting wore down my strength, where expectation slowly turned into silence, where I stopped asking because the ache of asking felt heavier than the ache of letting go. Come close to the part of me that learned to survive by not hoping too loudly. Come close to the place where I buried the desire, not because I stopped loving you, but because I did not know how to keep holding something that seemed unanswered for so long. Heal me, Lord, from the disappointment I never fully named. Heal me from the fear of believing again. Heal me from the spiritual fatigue that made prayer feel like lifting a weight my soul no longer had strength to lift. Heal me from the emotional nostalgia that keeps looking back at the version of me who believed more easily, who hoped more freely, who asked without trembling. Touch the ache of unanswered years. Touch the memory of closed doors. Touch the moments when I wondered if heaven had gone quiet over me. Wash shame off the places where my faith became tired. Remind me that exhaustion did not cancel your love, and silence did not cancel your remembrance. Lord, bring before me the prayer you are restoring. If I have hidden it so deeply that I no longer know how to name it, reveal it gently. If I have avoided it because it still carries sorrow, breathe peace over it. If I have mislabeled it as dead when you only preserved it in hiddenness, correct my understanding with tenderness. Show me what you are bringing back into motion. Confirm it with peace that does not strive, with wisdom that does not rush, with alignment that does not require confusion. Let my spirit recognize your hand. Let my heart know the difference between your restoration and my old desperation trying to resurrect itself. I surrender the prayer back to you without fear. I place it in your hands without demanding the shape, the hour, the route, or the method. I will not strive to make it happen. I will not manipulate people to move it forward. I will not panic when I sense movement but cannot yet see the fullness. Teach me to receive with open hands. Teach me to obey one step at a time. Teach me to walk through the door you open and rest before the door you have not opened yet. Let my faith be steady, not frantic. Let my obedience be clear, not pressured. Let my hope rise again under your peace. Protect the returning promise, Lord. Guard the doors connected to it. Close what would counterfeit your timing. Remove what would imitate your voice, but carry confusion. Purify my motives, so I do not receive as someone trying to prove a point, but as someone entrusted with mercy. Align the right people, silence the wrong voices, bring clear confirmations. Let divine timing govern every movement. Let no counterfeit distraction steal my attention from what you are truly doing. Let no fear-based decision interrupt the holy unfolding. Place your hand over the path of the answer, over the hearts involved, over the conversations, over the opportunities, over the hidden details I cannot manage and was never meant to control. And Lord, for every person listening who has a prayer they could no longer carry, meet them now. Meet them in the comments where they leave their prayer requests, and let this become a place of agreement, not performance. Let restoration be named there. Let healing be named there. Let renewed faith be named there. Let sons and daughters stand with one another, not in pressure, but in compassion, believing that you still remember what pain made difficult to speak. Cover every request with mercy. Cover every family, every diagnosis, every relationship, every financial need, every calling, every hidden ache, every hope that has been buried beneath years of waiting. I receive your restoration without fear. I receive your timing without resentment. I receive your healing without arguing with the process. I receive your peace over the prayer I thought was gone. Let my hands stay open after this moment. Let my heart stay soft after this amen. Let my spirit remain close to you as the answer unfolds. I trust you with what I could not carry. I trust you with what I could not fix. I trust you with what I could not force. And I believe that what was preserved by your hand will return in the way your wisdom has appointed. The prayer was heard. The promise was preserved. The timing is under my hand. Amen. And after the amen, my child, do not rush away from the peace you have just entered. Do not treat this moment as something to finish quickly and leave behind. Stay here with me for a little while. Let the prayer settle. Let the surrender breathe. Let your hands remain open, because I often restore hope gently before I reveal the full shape of the answer. I often touch the heart before I move the circumstance. I often bring peace first, because peace prepares the room for what I am about to place inside it. Tonight and in the coming days, stay attentive, but do not become anxious. Watch for the quiet confirmations. Watch for the peace that rises where fear used to speak. Watch for reminders that return without the old sting attached. Watch for softened hearts, unexpected movement, open conversations, renewed desire to pray, and small signs that tell your spirit, I have not forgotten. Some answers begin as a whisper before they become a door. Some restorations begin as a softened place in your soul before they become visible in your life. Do not despise the beginning because it is gentle. I am moving with wisdom. If this message helped you recognize a prayer you had buried, like this video, as an act of agreement and remembrance, let it be a simple way of saying, Lord, I heard you. I remember what I placed in your hands. Share this with someone who is tired from waiting, someone who has gone quiet because hope became heavy, someone who needs to know that delay was not abandonment and silence was not the end. And subscribe for more messages that restore faith in my timing, because your spirit needs reminders when the road has been long. Now write this declaration in the comments with faith, even if your voice feels small. I receive the prayer God preserved for me. Let those words become agreement, not performance. Let them rise from a healed place, not a pressured place. And if you need prayer, place your request below. If you are believing for healing, family, restoration, purpose, provision, or peace, do not carry it alone in silence. Let your brothers and sisters stand with you in compassion. Let agreement gather around what pain tried to bury. Beloved, you are not forgotten. Your prayer is not lost. Your tears were not wasted. Your silence did not erase what I heard. Rest tonight with open hands and a quiet heart, because what I preserved is still under my authority, and I am already moving.